Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Leon.
All right, we have a big show today, so where are we starting?
The big show is going to be all about the Xbox unveil that happened today.
Okay, so we'll start with Xbox. Just finished watching the live preview of the machine, the console, and I gotta say, just without getting into detail just yet, overall, I'm kind of unimpressed, or not. I'm
not excited.
I'm not excited. Yeah, I wouldn't say unimpressed. I'm just not that
excited.
excited.
Light a fire under your
not really
under your seat.
No.
Is that where you put your fires?
Under my seat.
Yeah, that's what you wanted.
That's why I bounce around a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, I thought it was a little tight on information, but we'll get to that, right? We'll talk about what they showed off. Yeah. So, you know, they started off with sort of talking about how it's going to be like the center of your living room, the center of your entertainment experience. That's like the message they're stressing throughout the whole
they
thing.
definitely said entertainment. Right.
So, I mean, as a games console, a lot of gamers are like, hey, you know, we want to hear about games and we want to know that games are going to be taken care of first. But Microsoft apparently has a broader vision for what they want to do with the machine. So, you know, they kind of laid out that sort of roadmap ahead. So they announced the name, right? It's Xbox One. Now, for years we've been calling the original Xbox the Xbox One to sort of distinguish it from the 360. But they decided to go with Xbox One.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice. I don't know if that was the best idea, but
I think, yeah, I mean, there were rumors of Xbox Infinity being a potential name.
I kind of like that one. I thought that was okay.
They went the other direction. Instead of stretching off into infinity,
instead of infinity, just one.
They pulled back and went to one, and I guess maybe 0 and -1 are next. Or I guess, I don't know, Xbox 720 was another potential sort of name, just doubling the 360.
Yeah,
but
that might get kind of old after a while.
Yeah, and people might think it's like skateboarding related or something.
Yeah. Possible.
Never know.
So Xbox One, so the reason why they're calling it One is because it is the one console for your TV.
I think that's conceptually what they're going for.
You'll have your music, your movies, your downloads, streaming,
TV watching,
cable, Skyping, everything.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, they showed off a little bit of that, right? They showed off the fast switching between playing a game and watching TV and going online, and you can even do some of that mixed together, too. And I guess much like Smart Glass, I don't know, is this going to require cooperation from your service provider, your TV cable provider, or Fios, or wherever else you get your TV from?
That brings up a good point, because they are showing, a lot of the demo was showing, they were watching Channel 2, and it's voice interactive, so you can say, you know, Xbox, CBS, or whatever you want to watch. And it'll change the channel for you, it'll put on the channel right away. But I think they said something about it being on Comcast, but I don't know what the availability in other cable providers are.
Right.
Or if, I don't know how that's going to work. They didn't really get into detail. If it's like it is now, they don't have a huge selection of providers to choose from to watch TV through your Smart Glass. So I have to see how it plays out, because that was a huge feature, and that might eliminate a lot of potential customers.
Yeah, you're able to switch channels on the fly now. To be able to do that, you either have to have an external cable box that you can control somehow and sort of integrate it into the experience, or you have to be able to accept the signal. In other words, the cable provider has to allow the Xbox to be like a cable box on their system.
Yeah.
Either that, or through some kind of app where, you know, there's an app running in the background, and that sort of acts as the client into the cable system.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of those apps now for tablets and...
Yeah, exactly. So that's a likely scenario, I guess. That's probably the easiest and cleanest way they could do it. But that's still going to require an app from each and every provider to be able for the Xbox to participate in the cable system, you know, and act as a cable box. So that might be great if you're, you know, like you said, a Comcast or an Optimum or a Time Warner customer. So, you know, one of the big players that are willing to develop an app you know, a company like AT&T still doesn't have one, right? And that's a pretty major vendor.
I'm not sure if Fios has one yet. Yeah, but AT&T definitely doesn't.
Yeah. There are plenty of smaller regional cable companies throughout the country that may not have the resources to develop an app like that. So customers in that situation might not have that benefit. And of course, if you have satellite, I guess forget it. You're not even considered.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
I don't know either.
So more details to come.
Yeah.
This was just a little taste to whet your palate.
Right. So we saw some other stuff, right? We saw a lot of gestures being emphasized as a control feature.
Right.
The Kinect sensor is going to be standard equipment with the new Xbox. It's going to ship with every machine, so everybody's going to have.
It's a new version of Kinect, so you can't use the old one.
Right.
Like now has the HD camera,
newer, higher resolution, higher quality imaging, and
night vision.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like super high tech. You can see ambient light, darkness
in your living room.
Yeah, it's going to be something that sounds hard to believe almost, but you know they had the demo working, so I guess
Yeah, so you can like pinch to like reduce the screen of what you're watching.
A lot of the demo is them going like this and moving windows around. So it's kind of interesting.
Minority Report type interfacing, coming closer and closer to reality. They mentioned like snap mode, where you can sort of push like sidebars onto the display.
That was the one thing I liked a lot, because that was kind of like multitasking. So you're in the middle of a game, you get a phone call, you can snap the game like in the corner, and then bring your Skype window up. And
you can do that. You can bring up an IE window on the side, Internet Explorer window, so you can browse.
You want to look up so you want to look up hints during the game, and you just shove the game to the side, and you can do it without. I mean, right now I do that. I have my tablet, and I just kind of bring it up real fast.
Yeah, there's been attempts to do stuff like that in the past, Google TV and other things like that. But this is Microsoft's way of trying to get there from the door and have people do it their way.
Sure.
Which isn't bad. I mean, if you're a big Xbox, player and you depend on it, then they sort of said, well, you don't even have to select an input on your TV. Everything you watch is going to be through the Xbox. So if you want to browse, if you want to watch TV, if you want to play a game, you can do it all in one spot.
Yeah, I think you made a good point with that, because that's one of the things that bothers me. I know it's like really stupid, but I hate having to switch the inputs on the remote control. It's like another thing I have to do.
Right. But yeah. More. I
like things that are self-contained.
Well, it's definitely good if it all works.
That's the important.
Capturing like a pleasant experience, I think, is part of delivering on what they're promising. They've also got like a couple of keywords that I heard throughout this whole thing is trending. I heard trending a lot.
Trending, yes.
And of course, I heard cloud a lot.
Cloud.
Those were the big sort of emphasis that was being pushed. So I guess the idea is you'll see what's currently trending in both through your friends list and the greater Xbox community. You'll see what's popular and rising to the top in terms of what people are searching for, or what people are watching, or what's the big news of the day. So I don't know. Is that important to you?
I don't usually follow what's trending or trending, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
But I guess that's as far as a mass market appeal. I know I'm probably not the demographic here. I'm realizing after watching this that the target audience is definitely not me. But that doesn't mean that it's not something good or useful. So the trending now thing is probably a good feature for most people. And it's there. If you don't like it, don't look at it.
Right. Yeah. I guess it's kind of like what's popular on TV, and if you're the type of person that wants to be able to talk to other people about what they're watching, you can be up on that. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't hold much interest for me either, but I guess it's just there. You can either ignore it or not. It's up to you.
Maybe you can tailor it to more your needs. I don't know. I don't know what settings they'll have on it. Right.
So, I mean, those are some of the sort of the broad features that they sort of discussed. They did get a little bit technical. They sort of profiled the hardware a little bit. So they showed the box, which
so
is
yeah,
something
let's talk about the console.
yeah, I mean that's something that we didn't see from Sony originally. They didn't unveil an actual console or what the hardware looks like, but Microsoft decided to do that with this presentation. E3 is only 3 weeks away, so it wouldn't have made sense to hold on to that information further.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, what do you think? They showed the box, and what are your impressions of the actual console?
Oh boy, it looks a lot like the first Xbox to me. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of ugly.
Kind of boxy.
It looked like my cable box. That's kind of the impression I got.
Yeah.
It's just boxy. It has grooves on it. It kind of looks multicolored, but I don't know if that's kind of like a matte, glossy kind of dual finish. I'm not sure. So, not impressed by the look of it, but you know, looks are not important really.
You figure
a little important, but not important.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of look nondescript. Sort of looks like an appliance, like either a VCR or a cable box or something.
It's not
unassuming.
Like what even the Xbox 360, I thought looked like a very sleek machine when they unveiled that.
The original had a distinct look, and then they went even more refined with the redesign, which kind of had like a distinct sort of look to it. This one, it seems like either they just had to have a more conservative, boxy look because there's just so much stuff packed in there. Maybe that's the sort of the impression.
Could be, yeah. There's a big hard drive and whatever else they're jamming in there. Well, 8 cores and.
Yeah, right. So it's 8 gigs of RAM and an 8-core processor or whatever. I don't know if did they even get into that? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. They did mention a Blu-ray drive.
Yes, Blu-ray, which is Sony's technology, oddly enough.
Or it's Sony's was one of the backers of Blu-ray.
True. Yeah.
But it's a consortium of interests that are behind that, and I guess they're now that it's the standard sort of for optical media, high definition optical delivery, then I guess they have sort of no choice but to support it. But it's also pretty high capacity, so that's not a bad choice for discs.
USB 3.
500 gig drive standard.
Yes.
That's going to be sort of.
I think they said gigabyte hard drive. I mean Wi-Fi. Gigabyte hard Wi-Fi.
Maybe.
Thought that was mentioned, but. It's also somewhat new. I don't remember mentioning Bluetooth, but
yeah, I'm not sure about that.
They kind of flashed the specs really fast.
It was. They didn't really want to spend a lot of time.
No, it wasn't. Yeah,
didn't seem that way to me. But they did also mention how this sort of multiple operating systems running on the box. So you have sort of the Xbox kernel, the sort of the like what games are written to run for. And then you have sort of a bit of Windows in there, like a microkernel of Windows that can run all of the ancillary sidebar stuff, like Internet Explorer and things like that. And then there's maybe some kind of hypervisor that runs on top of that to sort of manage access to those features. So that's interesting. I guess the multi-core design will help all that run smoothly together, so we shouldn't see any bumps. But that's good to know, I guess, that games can still be written directly to what the base hardware is.
I'm curious to see if they're going to link the mobile games to the Xbox, so you can download it on your computer and put it on your phone, and then also play it on your Xbox.
They didn't get into any of that.
They didn't get into the details like that.
They didn't say anything about whether Windows 8 is going to play any kind of integrated role.
I was really surprised, actually. No mention of Windows 8.
Neither that, nor any mention of Surface tablets and whether they would have.
That was another. They just said tablet, so
yeah, which is fine. They want to, regardless of what tablet you have. If you have an iPad, or if you have an Android tablet, or if you have a Surface tablet, they're kind of saying those platforms are recognized by default. You don't have to do anything special to use those as sort of a Surface, what do they call it, smart glass companion to your experience. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not bad. They got a little bit more into the controller, right?
Yeah, so they redesigned the controller now. And we now have rumble in the... So it used to be the motors used to be in the handles of the controller. So now they put them in the sticks.
In the sticks and the triggers, too.
And the triggers.
Even the trigger has like... so they were talking to one of the engineers in the behind the scenes after the program, and they talked about how they have high definition rumble now, and so I guess that's a little more realistic.
Yeah.
If you play a shooter and you fire a trigger, you feel the rumble in that trigger finger as opposed to your whole hand.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's not bad. I could see how that's an improvement.
It'll have the same button configuration and layout.
Looks the same.
D-pad was redesigned. It looks like
a common complaint.
Yeah, it looks like it's now the X and the D-pad is recessed now. It's not like a big disc like it used to be. But it's hard to tell. Yeah,
until you actually can handle it and see how it feels. I guess we'll
as far as I know, there's no like touch sensitivity anywhere, and
doesn't look like it.
Doesn't look like it, right? No keyboard. It looks like the attachment's still there though, for if you want to pop in headset or keyboard or anything.
Yeah.
The other controller.
Yeah, it's
It does have the accelerometer thing or whatever, the gyroscope that I think they showed him like controlling it with the controller. They didn't really talk about that. Yeah, they showed it real fast.
Okay, we'll see what they do with that. I think from there they went into the games that they're going to be offering, and it was kind of light on game.
Yeah, it was
information, right? We got a lot of information from EA Sports.
That was a big thing.
Yeah, so like Madden, FIFA, UFC fighting, and NBA Live were the sort of the stuff that they showed off.
And an exclusive partnership with NFL, which is kind of big. To me, I'm not a sports player, so that was just kind of like we joked around coffee time that segment because I have no interest, and I don't think you have a big sports interest.
Not a whole lot.
So, but in terms of the industry, sports games are big sellers. Yeah, that brings a lot of money. So.
And it seemed to me that they were sort of using that partnership to provide a lot of the information that would pop up, or like during the earlier presentation they mentioned how if you have a fantasy team, you can get live stats updates on your team, on your players.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to be able to watch a game and then instantly, shrink the game a little bit, picture in picture, and then bring up a sidebar that has your fantasy players and stats.
Or even just an alert. You'll see like a little bubble that pops up telling you that your player scored or whatever.
That kind of next-gen interactivity and multitasking is pretty neat.
Yeah, so presumably that partnership is what allows that information to be channeled through the console. Let's see, I think we saw also like a new Forza game. Forza 5.
Yeah, another racing game.
Another racing game.
Which I, once again, have no interest in, but...
I like racers. I like more arcade racers than simulation types. But, as it gets better, I'm sure I'll be interested to try it out.
Certainly looked good. I can't say if it looked any better than other racing games of this current generation, but...
Right. Yeah, we saw also a new game from Remedy being shown, the studio that produced... Max Payne and Alan Wake. They showed what was it? Quantum Break.
Oh, okay.
So it looked like a little mix of live action with gameplay, and I wasn't really sure if that was part of the game or if that was just setting the scene.
They were really vague on that. I don't know.
Right. The tagline was "Time is the fire in which we burn." That's like which is very dramatic.
Yeah, like a little girl who has these special powers.
Right. I don't know what it means. I don't know if it's like a game involving some kind of time manipulation or probability. You're messing with probabilities and making things happen. I think that's maybe where the quantum tie-in in the title comes up.
Makes sense.
It's just speculation. They didn't really give much about that. Let's see. I think we also saw a lot on Call of Duty. That was how they ended it. That was the big one. A big feature on...
So Call of Duty, another game that I don't play or have much of an interest in, but that's probably like the biggest game of our generation.
It's up there.
It's up there. And they'll have exclusive first download content, right?
Right. All the DLC for the game is going to be like Microsoft gets first dibs on that. They'll have it as a timed exclusive, and then other platforms will get.
It's kind of big, I guess.
Yeah. So for players who are into that,
Mm-hmm.
they probably want to flock in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, they showed Call of Duty Ghosts. It looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
They did some comparisons with the last Call of Duty that came out with the new one that's coming
Right.
out, and showing technically how much more they can do with the new technology.
Right.
So it looked good.
It looked more realistic, better environments, better modeling of the
Typical upgrade
of the models
stuff.
and the characters and everything else. I guess increased fidelity of realism. That's like always a goal of those games. I guess the other thing that we saw in that was somewhat of a Halo TV series.
Yeah, that was confusing to me where that came from.
Yeah.
So they got Steven Spielberg.
Right. I assume as like probably an executive producer.
Yeah.
Put his name on
And
it.
so in addition to a new Halo game that's probably coming out,
Yeah, which they didn't
get
actually
into.
talk about. So.
I thought they're gonna have it was a TV show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, and I'm assuming it's not exclusive to Xbox because sort of
Didn't
preaching to
say.
the choir. If that's the case, you want to have it on TV where other people can see it, get interested in it, and then maybe, hey, I want to check out the games that this thing was based on. That would make more sense to me.
They didn't show much about it, just interviews and talking.
Right. But that was about it, right? That's like kind of the whole
Yeah,
thing.
that. I mean, let me look at my notes here. Yeah, it was only an hour, and they had, I guess, a lot to cram in into a short time.
Right.
So basically, it's a new console. It's 3 main components. It's the controller, smart glass, and the Kinect.
Right. Those are your methods of interfacing with the console.
They didn't say any price yet.
Right.
Release date is by the end of the year, so very vague.
Presumably sometime before the shopping holiday kicks off.
Yeah.
Sometime in probably November is
It would have to be
likely.
before Black Friday.
Uh-huh.
They did say, though, that there's going to be 15 exclusive games right off the bat,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
with 8 of them new franchises
Hmm.
from Microsoft.
So I'm sure we're going to get more details on that in a few weeks.
Yeah, they didn't mention. Basically, they said E3 will be
Mm-hmm.
where everything else
More to
is going to
come.
be. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Now the other things they didn't mention, right,
yeah, what else? did they
was
mention?
the whole aspect of online connectivity. I think during the
true.
coverage, they sort of, they got into whether or not the console will need to be connected, because this was an issue of great controversy leading up to this announcement, right? That the console would have to be online for the games to be usable. And they sort of, they didn't do it during the presentation, but they did it during some of the Q&A that came afterwards, to say that it's beneficial if you're online because you get access to all the great online features, but it's not required, so don't worry about that. That's kind of all they
And
had to say
that's
about
all. Yeah, that's all they
Right.
said.
it. Right.
We got you covered. This is a by gamers for gamers. They claim this. This is
Right.
so. Another thing that they mentioned, but not went into too much detail, is the whole DVR function and sharing.
Right.
So they didn't really. They said that you can. It'll have a built-in recording system that'll go, I guess, into the cloud, and then you can share it to your friends.
Right.
But that's pretty much no details as far as doing live streams or to the extent of what you can edit and how you can edit and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's up in the air. Achievements were redone. Supposedly now, instead of having like these preset achievements, it sounds like they're going to have achievements based on like your playing style. It sounded like if you're, I don't know, I don't even know because they didn't give any examples.
We saw some charts and graphs,
Charts and
numbers,
graphs, yeah.
but I didn't really
No real world examples.
couldn't really make out the content there to really understand what they were going for.
But it will, I guess, will be redesigned.
Okay, redesign is good.
And again, tablet, connectivity. Let's see, anything else that they leave out? They didn't mention anything about games, downloads, if backwards compatibility.
Not addressed at all. Xbox Live arcade games, where they fit into all this,
Nothing.
wasn't mentioned. So we'll have to find out.
And I'm surprised no one was asking if their Xbox One games will work on their Xbox One.
I don't know. That's true. They do share an x86 heritage. So
It really should.
So you'd think Xbox original games would be the most likely to be able to run out of the box. Xbox 360 backwards compatibility is going to be very difficult.
I don't think that's going to happen.
It's a completely different architecture, and I don't think you're going to be able to talk back to those games. But we'll see. Who knows?
So as of right now, are you ready to pre-order your Xbox One?
I'm not. I'm not ready yet.
Okay. No
But,
leap of faith.
well, I mean, it's a new console. I'm sure I'll get it eventually. So,
I gotta say, I'm not as excited after watching this than I was with PlayStation 4. I felt like that was kind of, it touched on a lot of interest to me as a gamer,
yeah.
and Xbox kind of didn't.
Right. Yeah, it's...
But again, they didn't. This was more about entertainment and not so much about the games.
right.
E3 would be all about the games.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's definitely going to be more information during that time. I have to figure if you're a real staunch Xbox 360 gamer, this probably looks great to you, and you're ready to jump right in.
I think so.
But I'm sort of more multi-platform, so there has to be some standouts that really draw me in. So far, nothing super strong to do that. We'll see.
No.
We'll see what comes out. What else we got?
For the Xbox, I think that's it until E3 happens.
Yeah.
We covered enough. I would like to, just before we go, I'd like to ask you a question. Actually, this is a fan question.
Okay.
Someone name is Brian, and he was asking me a question, so I'll pose it to you. And that is, have you ever been addicted to a video game?
Like chemically addicted, or like emotionally addicted, or it's just that dopamine rush that I get when I play my favorite game.
It could be a combination of.
I don't know. I was never like analyzed or diagnosed with any kind of actual addiction. So
that I
know, because it wasn't official. I mean, there's been a lot of games that I've really put a lot of time into. I tend to be a completionist type. I really like to dig into a game and find every last thing that the game has to offer. So I wouldn't say obsessive, but I just enjoy that aspect of the game. I like exploring, and I like trying to find everything that there is to find. But in terms of addiction and like really enjoying and playing a game for a long time, I still have to go back to my favorite, City of Heroes. It's like it's an MMO that I played for over 8 years.
And that was like a daily thing that you did?
Yeah, I mean, some days more than others. I mean, I would say it's an addiction only because I played it for so long, and it got in the way of me actually playing other games. I mean, whenever I had time to sit and play a game, that was kind of my go-to activity. So I feel like I missed out on a lot of other, like maybe single-player games that were really good, or, I mean, they're still there. I can go back to them. But, instead of, for the last 8 years, having a variety of games to think about, I've been really focused on that one. And since it closed last year, I'm like, all right, it's sad that it went away. But at least now maybe I can play some other games. But yeah, before that, I mean, I was really into Unreal Tournament, the original.
Oh, okay.
That was back in like around 1999 to 2000. I was playing that a lot.
Yeah, that was fun.
And it was my first taste of like online teaming and competitive.
Yeah, that was the first time I think
multiplayer and capture the flag and all the interesting game modes that game offered. So those are my top picks. So what's your response to this question?
That's a tough one because, like you, I'm also the type I do get addicted to certain games. And once I get addicted, I can do a 12-hour run easily. So, I mean, things that come to mind, Ocarina of Time, I couldn't put that down. RPGs in general, like when I start one, and if it really hooks me in, I I have trouble putting the controller down. Like, I really want to know how the story ends. So, I mean, I can name so many RPGs, but that's definitely probably the big one. I know I'm going to sound like a hypocrite, but Baseball Stars. Baseball Stars for the NES. I was hooked on just naming players, and it was like a very customizable
Were you going
baseball
for
game.
score?
Well, I had like my friend and I had like a league, so we both had our own teams and we customized our own teams. So I'd bring the card over to his house, and we kind of because the game also had females in it too, which was kind of cool. It was a baseball game with mixed gender, so that was kind of fun for its time.
All right, so there was a sports game that you were into then.
Yeah.
All right,
but okay. No, I mean, I do play. I'm just not hooked on sports games.
Yeah, got it.
Especially the modern ones. Yeah, I mean, like the wrestling games on N64, those things I was hooked on, and that's kind of it. I mean, action games I don't really get addicted to, but I mean, I'm a crazy gamer, so I'm addicted to gaming. It's a lifestyle.
That applies to a lot of us, I think. Definitely.
So, do you want to go seek help? Do you feel like it's something?
I think I've got it under control.
You do? I don't know if I do.
I've got like a stack of vitamins that suppress my urges, and
is that what those things are?
Yeah, those just candy.
I thought it was something else.
No, I feel like it's another challenge to myself to be able to sort of contain my addictive urges. So yeah, I'm gonna stick to that.
It's better than alcohol. Although alcohol and games also work very well.
that's playing with a handicap.
Yeah.
That's a different challenge.
If you're gonna choose your addictions,
that's playing in hard mode, pretty much.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that this covered everything.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Brian for asking that question.
Yeah.
And if anyone else has, feel free to participate and share our videos and spread the word. And thanks for watching us. We'll be back again real soon.
Thanks.
Bye.